It was one of those mornings when you know the day is going to turn ugly and everything will go wrong. You know it already because you've been kept awake all night by a neighbor's barking dog, mosquitoes have somehow managed to seep through the window nets, and when you finally succeeded in falling asleep, a misdial call wakes you at the crack of dawn. And if all that weren't enough, once up and on your feet, you spill hot coffee over yourself. Yet, you have no alternative. You need to start your day, accept that life is hard, and venture into the unknown, come what may. In fact, what lay ahead was not at all a terrible prospect. I was taking a holiday in Rome, and friends had kindly organized a one-day trip to their country home, not far from the center of town, to chill out and spend a long afternoon together. "Bruce is going to pick you up," they told me. I sipped an espresso and waited for the stranger outside the hotel. It was hot, and temperatures were sure to rise further. "Nice to meet you, Bruce," I said openly when his car stopped in front of me. "How's it going?" "We don't have much time. There's a lot of traffic in town and we need to hurry up. Get in the car, quick." Right, someone else has had a rough night, I thought, and I obeyed the order, already looking forward to reaching our destination. The roads were indeed packed, and everyone seemed in a rush. It took us an hour to leave the center, zigzagging between erratic cars and through a swarm of revving mopeds coming from all directions. A few minutes into the journey, I had a clear lesson in physics. I came to realize that in Rome, the real duration of the infinitesimal moment, the shortest period of time, is the span between the green light and the person in the car behind you pressing the horn and yelling. In the meantime, Bruce wouldn't stop complaining about everything. All other drivers were either too slow or too fast, idiots and jerks. As we finally reached the motorway, our air conditioning system broke down, and ahead of us was an endless sea of cars. "Great, what else now?" Bruce barked. Things certainly did not look promising, I thought, but pulled down the car window and leaned back, yielding to the helplessness of the situation. But Bruce didn't relax. He began tapping his fingers on the steering wheel. Each tap a unit in a pounding countdown, like the last drops of his ebbing patience. "Everything all right, Bruce?" I dared to ask. He didn't really pay attention to what I said, his eyes fixed on the car stretching ahead. He started to honk aggressively, pulling down his window. A series of expletives were hurled at the other cars, as if the honking and his verbal eruption could together make the queue recede. Half an hour later, when miraculously we reached our exit, someone who had cheekily been driving along the emergency lane emerged from one side, cut us off, and gave us the finger. That's when I began to be afraid for everyone's safety. The sky outside was limpid, but Bruce's face looked like a thunderstorm. It was as if he felt trapped in a narrow corridor and his only goal was to get out of it as fast as possible. He just jumped out of the car and started to yell at the other driver, who, meanwhile, had quickly vanished. Everyone behind began protesting that we were obstructing the exit, and Bruce raged at them all, telling them to shut up. Luckily, no one got out of their car, and before he could run towards them, I grabbed him and pulled him back inside. We got out of there, and to be honest, all I could think about was a hammock under the shadow of a tree at my friend's house. An overwhelming force. Anger is a crude emotion, a mighty force that can be very difficult to contain. For it to surface, it may be enough that events simply run contrary to the way we expect them to go for us. We express anger if we are ill-treated, if we feel we've been slighted, if someone offends us, or when we won't or can't tolerate certain kinds of behavior. Anger is also fear with an armor. It works as a defensive, preemptive reaction before something hurtful can be done to us. Anger may be impulsive and spontaneous, acted out impetuously in brief and acute bursts, but it may also be silent and premeditated, lucid and controlled. It can be both an immediate response to provocation and the fuel for future retaliation. What is interesting about anger is that it can lurk restrained for a long time, erupt wildly and fleetingly, and then return to a quieter state. Once past the hot, flashing eruption of a blinding fury, you can remain angry at someone for a long time. In all its forms.